December 1984, Greater Manchester. A 14-year-old girl walks home after a friend's party. Less than 200 yards from her front door, she vanishes. Moments later, her body is found in an alleyway. She's been strangled. No witnesses, no motive. And the killer? Still out there. For nearly 4 decades, Leigh Hession's brutal murder has haunted her quiet hometown. Whispers of a prowler, sightings of a shadowy figure, and a grieving mother who died without ever knowing the truth. This is the murder of Leigh Hession, and it's a case that refuses to stay buried. Welcome to Crimes That Haunt Us. We release a new case every Sunday at 6 p.m, so hit subscribe and don't miss the next one. And let me know your thoughts on this case in the comments. I'd love to hear what you think. But before we retrace the chilling events of that night, we need to remember who Leigh Hession was. Not just a victim of a horrific crime, but a bright, kind-hearted teenager whose life was only just beginning. On April 12, 1970, Lisa Jane Hession was born into a modest terraced home at 10 Bonnywell Road, Leigh. An only child, she was raised by her devoted mother, Christine Hession, and her grandmother, Ellen, sometimes called Eleanor, in the heart of a tight-knit council estate. At 14, Lisa stood at 5'3" with shoulder-length wavy brown hair, her presence lighting up Bedford High School. Known for her confidence, beauty, and sharp wit, she had an infectious laugh and a fearless spirit that endeared her to all. A star cross-country runner for the Leigh Harriers Athletic Club and a dedicated gymnast, Lisa was often seen jogging through Leigh's streets, her athletic prowess inspiring neighbors who cheered her on. She was a local star, a teenager whose energy seemed boundless. In July 1984, just 5 months before her life was cut short, Lisa was photographed at a wedding, radiant in her favorite turquoise dress. Her smile captured a girl on the cusp of womanhood, full of promise. Another image, a school portrait in a green cardigan, white shirt, and Bedford High tie, would soon become a haunting symbol of loss, plastered across police appeals and etched into Leigh's collective memory. In the months leading up to Lisa's murder, a dark presence stalked Leigh's streets. Between August and December 1984, 3 sexually motivated attacks on young women shook the community, all within a 1-mile radius of an obscure alleyway between Newlands Road and Rugby Road. The absence of DNA evidence, due to the limited forensic technology of 1984, prevents a definitive link to Lisa's case, but the chilling similarities in the attacker's description and violent threats suggest a serial predator was on the loose. In the early hours of an August night, Carol Gallagher, a 20-year-old medical records officer with psychiatric training, was ambushed on Rugby Road, just 30 yards from where Lisa would later meet her fate. The assailant, aged 18 to 20, good-looking with a local Wigan accent, wore a red hat and blue tracksuit. He clamped his hand over her mouth, dragged her to the ground and hissed, "If you make a noise, I will kill you." Gallagher's quick thinking saved her life. Using her training, she calmly engaged him, learning he claimed to struggle with finding a girlfriend. For 300 agonizing yards, she walked with him, diffusing the tension until he apologized and vanished into the night. Her detailed account would later form the cornerstone of a police EFIT, offering a glimpse into a predator who blended charm with menace. On September 2nd, 1984, in the early hours on Central Avenue, another young woman, aged 17, faced a similar nightmare. The attacker exposed himself, seized her from behind, and repeated the chilling threat, "If you make a noise, I will kill you." Her fierce struggle allowed her to break free, escaping into the darkness. His description, around 20 with a local accent, matched Gallagher's assailant, fueling fears of a serial offender. Just 1 day before Lisa's murder, on the evening of December 7th, 1984, a 16-year-old girl was attacked on spare land off Mather Lane. a quarter-mile from the fatal alley. The assailant, dressed in a white shirt and grey trousers, exposed himself, struck her, and threatened, "If you scream, I will break your neck." Her courage shone through as she kneed him in the groin and fled. His description, 18 to 20, local accent, aligned with the prior assaults, heightening panic about an escalating predator. The lack of forensic evidence left police grasping at victim accounts, unable to confirm a link to what would soon become Leigh's darkest tragedy. And in the days before Lisa's murder, an unsettling shadow may have followed her. Between December 3rd and 5th, 1984, witnesses claimed to have seen a man watching her on Monday and Tuesday, possibly near Bedford High School or the quiet corners of Bonnywell Road, and trailing her home on Wednesday, just 3 days before her death. This paints a chilling picture. A predator studying Lisa's every move, tracking her as she walked to school or trained with Leigh Harriers, hinting at premeditation by someone who knew her routine, perhaps a local with a dangerous fixation. The uncertainty of these sightings only deepens the mystery, leaving us to wonder if Lisa sensed she was being watched. On Saturday, December 8th, 1984, Lisa faced a choice that would unknowingly seal her fate. Two parties beckoned, a Leigh Harriers running club event or a house party at 16-year-old Andrew Heaton's home on Leigh Road, about 2 miles from her home. She chose the party, a small, intimate gathering where she was the only girl present, a detail that later raised questions about whether someone there fixated on her or shared her departure time. Her protective mother, Christine, allowed her to attend on the condition she returned by 10:30 p.m., a rare extension of her usual 9 p.m. curfew, with the promise of attending her school disco on December 10th if she complied. Lisa dressed vibrantly for the occasion, donning a navy 3/4-length coat, white skirt, striped t-shirt, red jumper, and white canvas boots, her outfit reflecting a teenager embracing the festive spirit of Christmas. At the party, Lisa was joined by her 16-year-old boyfriend, Craig Newell, with whom she had rekindled a relationship just 2 days earlier on December 6th. In a sensitive detail later reported by the Manchester Evening News, Newell testified at the inquest that they had had sex at the party. This revelation drew police scrutiny to the attendees, probing whether someone present could have followed Lisa or revealed her plans, adding a layer of intrigue to the killer's proximity. At 10:15 p.m., Lisa bid farewell to Craig with a tender kiss at the front gate of the Leigh Road house. She set off alone on her 1.5-mile walk home, a route she knew like the back of her hand. Passing through Leigh's bustling town centre, onto St. Helens Road and towards Buck Street, she moved through streets alive with Christmas revelers, the glow of holiday lights illuminating her white canvas boots. Witnesses later confirmed seeing her on St. Helens Road, walking confidently, unaware danger lurked just minutes from the safety of home. Minutes before her 10:30 p.m. curfew, Lisa was spotted again on Buck Street, so close to the safety of Bonnywell Road, mere moments from home. By 10:30 p.m., Lisa was expected at 10 Bonnywell Road, her curfew a firm promise to her mother. When she didn't arrive, Christine's maternal instincts surged, her heart pounding with dread. She ventured out 3 times to search for her daughter, her footsteps echoing through the cold December night as she called Lisa's name. In a gut-wrenching twist, Christine unknowingly passed the alleyway between Newlands Road and Rugby Road where Lisa lay, hidden in a shadowy recess by garage doors. 3 times she walked past that fateful ginnel, her calls for Lisa echoing unanswered in the night. These desperate searches, likely between 10:30 and 10:45 p.m., covered Bonnywell Road and nearby streets, with Christine's hope battling the growing fear that something was terribly wrong. The darkness and seclusion of the Ginnel, a narrow alley known only to locals, concealed the tragedy unfolding just yards away. At 10:45 p.m., Christine, her voice trembling, reported Lisa missing to Greater Manchester Police. At around 11:45 p.m, her grandmother Ellen made a second call to police after Christine noticed a police car speeding past their home, unaware it was responding to a horrific discovery in the alleyway. Between 10:30 and 11:55 p.m, Lisa's life was brutally stolen. She was lured or forcibly dragged into the Ginnel between Newlands Road and Rugby Road, a mere 200 yards from her front door. The alley, obscured by garages and a house's back gate, was a secluded trap, its obscurity suggesting a killer who moved confidently in Leigh's back streets, perhaps a neighbor or a schoolmate's relative. It was not a shortcut to Bonnywell Road, indicating Lisa was ambushed on Buck Street, where witnesses last saw her alive. In her final moments, she was assaulted and strangled, her striped t-shirt tightened around her neck with one hand while the attacker covered her mouth with the other, causing death by asphyxia. Her skirt was pulled up, her underwear ripped, and she bore a black eye, bruising on her lips and scratches on her neck, marks of a fierce struggle that testified to her strength and defiance. Her umbrella lay discarded in the muddy alley, and her earrings were found elsewhere, possibly on Buck Street or scattered during the violent encounter, adding a haunting detail to the scene. The coroner later suggested the killer may not have intended to kill Lisa, perhaps choking her to silence her screams after the assault. The absence of reported screams hints at a swift, overpowering attack, or the chilling possibility that Lisa knew her attacker, trusting him enough to be led into the alley. At 11:55 p.m, Ron Parry and his 13-year-old son, Ronald, were walking their dog when they stumbled upon Lisa's lifeless body in the alleyway. She lay on her back in a recess by garage doors near a house's back gate, partially hidden, explaining why Christine's desperate searchers had missed her. Undertaker Bill Hayes rushed to the scene, attempting to revive her, but found her cold, noting the thin black mark around her neck and facial bruising. Christine was taken to Leigh Infirmary, where an officer delivered the devastating confirmation that the body was Lisa's. Christine's observation of the bruises on Lisa's lips and the mark on her neck underscored the attack's brutality, leaving a mother shattered, her world forever altered. Leigh woke to a community in shock. Neighbors closed their curtains in a silent tribute, a gesture that would become local law, reflecting the collective grief that gripped the town. Detective Superintendent Terry Millard, head of GMP's Serious Crime Squad, held a press conference at Leigh Police Station. Millard revealed the 3 prior assaults, August, September and December 7th, as a distinct possibility, linking them to Lisa's murder, but cautioned that the absence of DNA from those attacks, due to 1984's limited forensic technology, prevented a definitive connection. Over 90 officers descended on Leigh, knocking on doors and collecting hundreds of witness statements. A mobile incident unit near Rugby Road became a hub of community anguish, with locals queuing to share tips, rumors, and fears of suspicious men seen loitering in the weeks prior. Detective Rita Kraft, a female officer, took to the streets, retracing Lisa's route from Leigh Road to Buck Street in a near-identical navy coat, white skirt and boots, hoping to jog witnesses' memories. The festive bustle of Leigh's Christmas crowds may have drowned out key sightings, as her bold effort yielded no leads. Muddy footprints in the alleyway were analyzed but proved inconclusive, possibly contaminated by bystanders or responding officers, adding to the investigation's early frustrations. In mid-December 1984, a glimmer of hope emerged when a man was arrested on suspicion of Lisa's murder, sending ripples through Leigh's shaken community. Questioned and released on bail, he was never charged, but GMP later noted he remains of interest to cold case officers even after his death in 2005. No forensic evidence, DNA or fingerprints, linked him to the crime, and his undisclosed identity fueled speculation about whether he was a neighbor, schoolmate, or acquaintance who knew Lisa's routine, perhaps even her extended curfew that night. On January 16, 1985, GMP released an EFIT of a baby-faced suspect, aged 18 to 20, based on descriptions from assault victims, including Carol Gallagher. Published in the Manchester Evening News, the sketch depicted a young man with a local Wigan accent, clean-cut features, and a deceptively unthreatening demeanor, possibly blending seamlessly into Leigh's community. Despite its widespread circulation, the EFIT led to no arrests, leaving police frustrated and residents on edge, wondering if the killer walked among them. In May 1985, at around 9:40 p.m. on Buck Street, the very street where Lisa was last seen alive, a petite, older woman was ambushed. A man grabbed her from behind, pinned her against a wall, and attempted to remove her clothes, echoing the tactics of the prior assaults. But a car's headlights pierced the darkness, forcing the attacker to flee. The victim's daughter later reported that GMP's Serious Crime Squad linked this attack to the earlier ones due to its brazen approach. No forensic evidence was recovered and the attacker's description was not detailed, but this fifth assault, on the same street as Lisa's last sighting, intensified fears of a serial predator. It was the last reported attack in the series, leaving investigators to wonder if the killer stopped, relocated, or went dormant, perhaps rattled by the intense scrutiny following Lisa's murder. In mid-1987, a fleeting lead emerged when a 32-year-old man imprisoned in Merseyside for murdering an 84-year-old woman was questioned at Risley Remand Centre. A Liverpool detective had flagged comments he made during an unrelated interrogation, hinting at a possible connection to Lisa's case. Interviewed twice by GMP, he was released without action as no evidence tied him to the crime, underscoring the investigation's desperate reach for answers. As the 1980s faded into the 1990s, Lisa Hession's case grew cold, shrouded in silence as leads dwindled and the killer slipped deeper into the shadows of Leigh. Christine's daily walks past the alley, her heart heavy with unanswered questions, mirrored a community haunted by grief, clinging to memories of a vibrant girl whose light refused to dim. On the 1st of February 2005, Lisa's case was thrust back into the spotlight with a Crimewatch Appeal on BBC, featuring a vivid reconstruction of her final moments, broadcast to millions across the UK. The program generated 27 calls, including from women who suspected their husbands or boyfriends from 1984, offering tantalizing but unconfirmed leads. A breakthrough came with the isolation of a partial DNA profile, likely from semen or skin cells related to the sexual assaults, preserved through meticulous evidence handling since 1984. Described by GMP as good enough for direct comparison, the profile has not matched any entries in the National DNA Database, operational since 1995, suggesting the killer either died or ceased offending before then, remaining a ghost in the system. In 2011, GMP launched a mass DNA screening in Leigh and Wigan, swabbing hundreds of men based on the partial DNA profile. The exact number remains undisclosed, but the focus on Wigan, about 7 miles from Leigh, sparked local speculation about a specific suspect, perhaps linked to the arrested man or a tip about a Wigan resident. GMP's secrecy suggests they still monitor potential persons of interest, but no match was found, deepening the mystery. The killer may be deceased, not in the NDNAD, or living a life free of further convictions, evading justice in plain sight. In January 2017, tragedy struck again when Christine Hession died at 69 after a short battle with cancer, her heart heavy with unresolved grief. For decades, she had campaigned for justice, her daily walks past the alley where Lisa died a ritual of love and loss. Locals recall seeing her pause at the ginnel, staring into its shadows as if willing answers to emerge, a poignant image of a mother's enduring quest. Her passing left Leigh to carry the torch for Lisa's justice, a community unwilling to let her memory fade. In December 2017, GMP announced a £50,000 reward for information leading to a conviction, a sum still active as of 2025. Martin Bottomley, head of GMP's Cold Case Unit, emphasized the power of advancing forensic techniques and urged locals to share even the smallest tip, believing the killer's identity lies locked within Leigh's collective memory. In 2018, GMP partnered with the Manchester Evening News to distribute appeal leaflets in Leigh's shops, pubs and municipal buildings, reigniting awareness. In 2019, GMP's Cold Case Unit conducted a thorough review, re-interviewing aging witnesses and exploring forensic advancements such as improved DNA analysis. No new suspects emerged, but Bottomley remained steadfast, noting that a single name could unlock the mystery given the DNA profile's potential. In 2023, a cherry tree at Bedford High School planted in Lisa's memory shortly after her death was destroyed in a storm, a symbolic blow to the community. Former classmate Neil Stephen and teacher Louise Brandwood Price organized a replacement tree and plaque, holding a poignant ceremony attended by students and alumni. Locals shared memories of Lisa's bright smile and fierce spirit, the plaque inscribed to honor her enduring legacy, renewing calls for justice in a town that refuses to forget. On December 8, 2024, marking the 40th anniversary of Lisa's murder, GMP reissued the £50,000 reward. Martin Bottomley issued a heartfelt plea, emphasizing the partial DNA profile's potential and urging anyone with a decades-old secret to come forward. In March 2025, Lisa's case was featured on BBC's Crimewatch Live with a detailed reconstruction and appeal. Again, Martin Bottomley highlighted the similarities between Lisa's murder and the prior assaults, suggesting an escalating sexual predator, but acknowledged the lack of forensic links due to 1984's forensic limitations. The broadcast aimed to jolt memories, targeting locals who might recall suspicious behavior from 1984, perhaps men who abruptly changed routines or left Leigh after the murder, their secrets buried in the passage of time. Lisa's murder raises haunting questions that linger in Leigh's heart. Was she targeted by someone who knew her, perhaps aware of her extended 10:30 p.m. curfew, a detail shared only with close family and friends? The party's intimate setting, with Lisa as the only girl, suggests the possibility of a fixated attendee or of someone who learned of her departure. The stalking reports from December 3rd to December 5th paint a chilling picture of a predator watching her every move, perhaps from the school gates or Bonnywell Road's quiet corners. The Ginnell's obscurity, known only to locals, points to a killer who navigated Leigh's back streets with ease. The prior assaults, with their consistent threats and descriptions, suggest an escalating predator whose spree may have peaked with Lisa's murder. And the sudden halt after the May 1985 attack raises the question: did the killer stop, deterred by intense scrutiny, or relocate, or did he die? The partial DNA profile remains a beacon of hope, preserved through meticulous evidence handling, yet its failure to match suggests a killer who evaded justice, perhaps deceased or living quietly, his secret buried. Could someone in Leigh still hold the key? A family member, friend, or neighbor who suspected but never spoke? Lisa Hession was only 14 years old, loved, full of promise, and taken far too soon. Her family and community deserve answers, and until justice is served, her memory must never fade. This isn't just another unsolved case, it's a life that mattered. Thank you for watching and listening to Lisa's story. Please feel free to add your own comments, thoughts, and theories down below, and I'll see you next time.